Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. It's nice to know that Thank you, guys. Wow, you're so kind. Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to know that some people like me because for the work we've done rescuing children, we've been villainized by the left. I guess it's somehow evil to rescue children. I can't figure this out. So it feels so good to be with folks who get it and support us. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to tell you a story. In 2019, I was invited. I was on the Lori Ingram show talking about the border. I spent 10 years as a special agent, undercover operator on the southern border, and a total of 12 years working in that capacity as a special agent for the U.S. government, Homeland Security. And I was on Lori Ingram talking about the border, and on the way back to the hotel that night, I got a call that President Trump wanted to meet me in the White House. And I was like, what's going on? I had no idea it was a big conference. The media was going to be there, and I didn't get any warning. I just showed up unshaven, and I thought it was a personal meeting, but no, everyone was there. And they put me right next to President Trump in the cabinet room, and I just told the truth about what was happening at our border. See, it seems so simple to me. You build a wall, you rescue kids. You have no wall, kids get hurt. That's it. It's very simple. And I told two stories to the president, and it got on the media and everything. I told two stories. One was about a girl who was kidnapped at 11, 12 years old and taken through a wall-less section of the border, taken to New York City after that, and raped between 15 to 20 times a day for about 5 years. And I said, this is a crisis. Those who say this isn't a crisis, because this girl told me, had there been a wall that I was forced to go into, my traffickers would have been forced to go into the port of entry, then maybe, likely, I could have been rescued. And it's that simple. Who would fight against this? It's that simple. And then I told the other story. You saw the depiction of the Sound of Freedom. How many of you have seen Sound of Freedom? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. And the other story was simply that little boy. They filmed that on location. We pulled him out of that van. True story. The necklace story he gave me, also true, with my name on it. That's a miracle from God, and we're blessed that happened. And so that was it. I left thinking everything's great. I get a call from my office about a few hours after I left the White House, and they told me that we have lost 1,000 recurring donors. 1,000 donors who believed we were rescuing kids, but were willing to take that opportunity away because they didn't like that I met in the White House with Donald Trump. And my office, my CFO called, Tim, call these people, tell them you would have said the same thing to any president of any administration. And I thought about it for a half second, and I said, I'm not gonna call one of those people. Because they just broadcasted something to me, a very important message. That there are people out there, and it was a shock to me, that there are people out there that hate one person or one party more than they love rescuing children from a life of rape. And that's when I realized we have a serious, serious illness in this country where children are put way down on the list of priority, and agenda and wokeness and leftism, whatever is the most important thing. It's spiritual warfare. Nothing else can explain this. It's spiritual warfare. So then fast forward a few more years and Sound of Freedom comes out, and I see another manifestation of this same craziness. You see what the left media is saying about this film? They're calling me QAnon. Okay, I don't even know. This is based on a true story. You saw the film. Was there anything in that film political, QAnon-ish, anything? These are real kids. We're bringing these kids up. They want to tell their story. So I invite Rolling Stone, The Guardian. By the way, all that mainstream media, in October of 2014, when this operation went down in Colombia, they all reported on it. They applauded it. They agreed with all the rest of us that child trafficking is real and that it's a good thing that we're getting rid of it. Same publications, 8 years later, it's all a lie. It can't be happening. And somehow it's QAnon well, the film was produced and written about 6-7 years ago, before anyone heard the name QAnon. So it's impossible that there's something in there. But they don't care. So then the question is this, and this is the most important thing we need to answer. Why? Why are they doing this? Why do they not want you to see Sound of Freedom? They're going to expose the truth. And what truth? What conversation are they afraid to have? I'm going to tell you what it is. A few weeks ago, I was on the Hill talking to a group of congressional Republicans, and they were asking me about the border. And they were just appalled, as I am, as you are. In the last 2 years alone, 85,000 unaccompanied minors, thousands of them, according to CBP data, under 5 years old. Okay, what is a 3-year-old showing up at the port of entry or at the border alone? What's going on? Oh, and by the way, there's a bracelet around them. You've seen this? I mean, they're branding the kids. I mean, this is an organized effort by criminal organizations to traffic children. And 85,000 of those kids show up at the southern border over the last 2 years, and they're lost. They're disappeared. And here's the important thing. There's something I call the economy of pedophilia. Okay? Did you know that the United States is the #1 consumer of child sex material in the world? Okay, so we are the demand. If 85,000 children show up at our border and are released into that economy of pedophilia, what do you think is going on? And worst yet, you know what happens? I've been down there. The traffickers give the kids a little piece of paper with a name on it of the sponsor. And Health and Human Services gets those kids, by policy, all they can do is call the number, and George Smith or whoever picks up the phone. Oh yeah, Jose Gonzalez, yeah, I'm the sponsor. Okay, they used to have to come pick the kid up. It's harder, by the way. It's harder to adopt a cat from a shelter than it is to come pick up a kid at the border. Do you know that? And now George Smith doesn't have to pick the kid up anymore. Your taxpayer dollars are putting that kid on a plane, train, automobile, whatever it is, and shipping that child to the sponsor given by a child trafficker in Mexico, and the United States government is therefore complicit. And the United States government is fulfilling and completing the final leg of a child trafficking experience. That's our country right now. And that's why they don't want you to see Sound of Freedom. They do not want to be compelled to have the conversation. But I told the congressman, because they said, Tim, why can't we wake up the left? These are children. And I said, you're not telling the whole story. Spiritual warfare, it's all encompassing. It's not just about the 85,000 kids. You know what else is about? It's about sexualizing our kids. They don't want to be confronted with that truth, that they are wanting to give our children pornography at 3rd grade and call it sex education. Sexualize their brains. They don't want you to know about the fact that the pedophile networks, which I've been hunting for 2 decades, they are salivating right now at all the leftist policies because it's all the things that they have wanted to have accomplished for the last 2 decades. And they're doing it for them. Sexualize kids. They want the kids sexualized because they need those kids to want to have sex. At 12, 13, 14 years old, another big point for the pedophiles is kids should consent to vote. Kids can consent to everything. Why? Because they want sexualized kids to now have the legal authority to consent to do anything. And why are they loving this trans foist on children? Because it's all about consent. We're being told by the leftists that children can and should have the ability to consent and demand that their bodies be mutilated, that their genitalia be extracted. I mean, I have 9 children, okay? You can't tell, I won't let thank you. I won't let my 13-year-old consent to where they're gonna go on a Friday night. But moms and dads in Washington, Oregon can lose their children if they don't, if they try to fight the consent thing with their kids to gender mutilate or to inject themselves with puberty blockers. Now, why do pedophiles love this? Oh, they love this because if kids can consent to something so outrageous, it doesn't seem so outrageous that they can now consent to identify as a 30-year-old and have sex with a 40-year-old pedophile, does it? And that's what's coming next. It's already happening. Every piece of this agenda in spiritual warfare is the pedophile agenda that's being pushed by these leftists, and this is the conversation they don't want to have. This is why they're lying about Sound of Freedom, and we're going to force this conversation down their throats, and we're going to wake up this country. And so we're just getting started. The director of the film, Alejandro Monteverde, he said he made a movie that he wants this movie to begin when people leave the theater. And that's what's happening. We are just getting started. And what's so great about this film, it's breaking. I don't know if I'm shocked every day. They give me the numbers. I'm shocked. Okay, and we need your help because I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more enemies than I ever had before. But because this is drawing a line, isn't it amazing? They're exposed. This is I believe God's behind this movie, if for nothing else, to expose. If you are against rescuing children and you can't help your poisonous pen and you're writing crap and you're going in and you're posting about how this is wrong and this is bad and this is a lie, oh wow, we know who you are now, so thank you. We know who you are. The lines are more defined than ever, aren't they? It's not even Republican, Democrat. It's just right and wrong. It's dark and light. That's where we're at. This is spiritual warfare. There's a line in the movie. It's the one line that Jim Caviezel actually ad-libbed. And he didn't know. When I saw it for the first time, I wept. This is in the beginning. It's a true scene. I'm in a coffee shop with a pedophile after having gone undercover, not as under a false name, but under my own name. If you remember in the film, it shows this, and it's a true story. I had to go undercover as Tim Ballard, special agent, and closet pedophile. And that's how I had to get to this guy, Oshensky. Again, you've all seen the film, so you know what I'm talking about. Right before Oshensky gets arrested, Caviezel leans over the table. Do you remember the scene? And he says to him, "Better that a millstone be hung about your neck and you tossed to the bottom of the sea than that you should hurt one of these little ones." And I remember thinking that wasn't in the script. In fact, the actor who's playing the pedophile, that was his natural reaction when he said, "What does that mean?" Right? But it worked perfectly in the film. It was beautiful. Caviezel's an amazing guy. I asked him to play me. I asked him to play that role. He was my first choice because he loves Jesus, and that's why. And what Jim didn't know, what I knew, is all the crazy crap you see us do and the dark places I've had to go into. I'm just as scared as anyone else, I promise you. Before and after, I'm scared as anyone else. But you know, in the moment when I'm in it, I'm not scared. And this is why, because I repeat that line from Matthew 18 in my head. Jim didn't know this. I repeat that. Why do I repeat that line, the millstone line? Because I think it may be the only time that Jesus gets violently righteous in his words. It's like mafioso righteous, right? This is cement shoe stuff. I mean, think about what he's saying. If you hurt one of these kids, I'm not going to put a millstone on your neck and throw you to the sea. No, that's not what he's saying. It's going to be worse than that, is what's going to happen to you if you do this thing. And why do I love that line? Because when I'm going into a dark place, I know where God stands on it. He has made it clear, even using violent language. It's Jesus, so it's righteous violence. But even using violent language, I know he's at my side, and he's at our side. And here's the good news. He's on all of your side with that kind of passion, because all of you are going to protect God's children because they are no longer for sale. Thank you so much. God bless you guys, and God bless America. Thank you.